Hello, everyone. Today we're just going to get started in an easy cross-legged seat at the center of our mats. If you want, or if you think would be helpful, you can bring 2 blocks, or 1, or any books, some sort of material that can help you balance or help in stretches. I also recommend a soft pillow or a blanket for any resting poses. But other than that, all you need is your mat, your body, and your breath. So we'll get started. You can close the eyes down. Just begin to tune in with what's going on in the body and the mind. And just become aware of the rising and the falling of your chest. Allow the sound of your breath and the air coming in your nostrils to soothe any looping thoughts, any tensions. And know that right now, the only thing that needs your attention is the breath. And if you have the eyes closed, you can gently open them. Reach your arms up overhead, gaze can follow. And then on an exhale, the left hand comes to the right knee. As you twist to the right hand plants behind you. And just twist through your core, through the torso, gentle. And then inhale back through center, arms overhead. Twisting to the left, right hand comes to left knee. Looking over that left shoulder, breathe. Hands come back through to center, and they can gently come back down to your sides. And now you can just take the arms up. You can take the right hand to your left shoulder, gently push down as the right ear comes down to the right shoulder. And just feel the stretch in your neck, kind of release in the shoulders. You roll the head back into the side a little bit, really feeling into any spaces that are tender or might need a little more attention. Maybe you rock the head a little bit more towards the back, or you bring the chin a little closer to the chest. And then you can release this hand and bring the left hand to the right shoulder. Gently push it down as you bring the left ear to the left shoulder. And just gently rocking the neck out. Getting into any tensions, any tightness or gripping in the face. Just release fully. Feel that space, that openness. And then you can release the hand and we'll come up. You can either have the toes tucked or flat, and we'll just sit on our heels. Bring the shoulders down the back. These palms can face up. And then on an inhale, reach up overhead and come onto the knees, reaching the arms up. And then on an exhale, right hand down, reach the left arm up and over for a side body stretch. The left hand can cradle the back of the head so that the elbow points towards the sky and you feel more open through that left shoulder. Still maintaining integrity in the core to keep you lifted up high. And then back through to center, reach the arms overhead. Sink the hips back to the heels. Take a nice breath here. And then rise back on up. Left hand drops, right arm reaches up and over. Take the right hand to the back of the head or cradle the neck as the elbow points upward. Feel the length in the right side body. Opening up through the rib cage. Opening up through the side waist. Maybe even leaning back a bit for a gentle back bend. And then sinking the hips back down. We'll take a breath. Take the arms out wide, opening up through the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades. And then round through the spine as you bring the palms together to touch out in front of you. One more time, opening through the chest. Sit bones can point backwards, really opening through the spine. And then rounding as the palms come together to touch out in front. This is mirroring our cat-cow shape that we would take on all fours. So just continue with this movement, really open up, stay fluid. And then we'll dive forward, taking it to a tabletop position. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. And then really hug in through the belly so that the body isn't moving much. And then we'll reach the right leg out behind us as everything else stays stable. So use that right glute to really lift up the leg. Take a breath in, and then press down through the right hand as the left arm reaches forward. Staying even through the hips and the shoulders. On an exhale, we'll round and touch the knee to the elbow. Inhale, extend it long. Exhale, round and empty. Inhale, extend it long. Exhale, round and empty. One more time, extend it. And maybe this time you bend the knee so that the foot is facing towards the sky. Reach the left arm back and around. Maybe you grab for the back foot. It's okay if you don't reach. You can just reach back energetically, pulling, and then we'll kick that foot into the hand as you look up and face the chest towards the sky. Nice breaths here. Opening through that left shoulder. And then extend back out long and place the foot and the knee and the hand back down. You can take a few rounds of cat-cow in between the sides. Maybe you wag your tail, move the hips side to side. And then we'll find ourselves back in a neutral tabletop. Reach the left arm out we'll stay back in tabletop. Reach that left leg out behind you. Toes point down, hugging through the core. And then when you feel stable, press gently through the left hand as the right arm reaches out. Hold it here. And then elbow taps knee, round the spine and empty. Inhale, extend it out long, toes point down. Exhale, round and empty. Inhale, extend. Exhale, round. One more time, extend it. And then bend at the knee, flex the foot. Turn the palm out of the right hand and then reach it all the way back and around to grab for that foot. If it doesn't reach, you can just keep that palm facing towards the side as you reach back. if you can reach the foot, press the foot into the hand as you reach it up towards the sky. Maybe you look up. Keep pressing it as you lift the leg higher, opening through the right shoulder, external rotation right there. And then gently release it back out to extension, and then drop that right hand down, the left knee comes down. We find ourselves in tabletop. You can bring the toes together to touch, knees will come out wide to the length of the mat, and then sink back for just a child's pose to really get into the hips, the shoulders, and you can sway side to side, massaging the hips and the forehead. And then we'll come back up, tuck the toes under, and lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. So in our first down dog, you can pedal out through the feet, bending one knee and then the other, pressing firmly through the balls of the feet and all the toes. The heels will make their way towards the mat, but they don't have to touch. You can have a nice bend in the knees if the hamstrings are talking to you right now. And then we want to have our fingers spread wide and pressing firmly through each finger pad. And then extending the elbows long like there's a magnet between them. The elbow creases may shine forward a little to keep the shoulder blades stable on the back. And then hug those ribs in. So if they start to flare out like this, just hug them in. That stabilizes you from your core. And with all that in mind, we'll come high onto the balls of the feet as you gently walk to the top of the mat. So the feet are between the hands, and we'll come into a nice forward fold. You can grab opposite elbows, you can bend in the knees, just sway left and right. And then bend the knees generously, bring weight into the heels as you roll yourself up vertebrae by vertebrae. Arms can reach up and overhead. Palms come together to touch and through heart center. And release by your side for Tadasana mountain pose. So after our warm-up, we'll just really begin our class with the sound of one collective Om. You can join me or chant silently to yourself. So we'll take a deep breath in. If you have an intention, you can say that silently to yourself now. And we'll start greeting the sun with our sun A's by reaching the arms up overhead. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Dive over the legs, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back to a high plank position. Shoulders over wrists. Hug the belly in. And now we'll lower either halfway or all the way. This is our Chaturanga. So keep the elbows in, hinge forward a little on the toes, and then lower halfway. Upward facing dog, heart shines through, back bend through the upper spine. And roll over the toes, hips go up and back, downward facing dog. So that's our sun A and the basis of our vinyasa that we'll return to again and again. Taking long breaths in our downward facing dog. Come high on the toes, and you can either step or leap to the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise tall, upward salute, arms to the sky, and back through heart center, Tadasana. So some modifications I'll offer is you can lower all the way to the belly from your plank pose, and you can always keep the hips on the ground during our upward back bend to make it a low cobra instead of an upward facing dog. So we'll start once again. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the floor, the shins or the thighs. Forward fold. Plant the hands, step back, plank. Lower halfway or all the way. Upward facing or baby cobra. Inhale. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Release the breath. 3 rounds of breath here. Come high into the balls of the feet. Step or hop, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Forward fold. Exhale. Weight in the heels, rise high. Exhale, Tadasana. Staying in motion, last round. Inhale, upward salute. Forward fold. Exhale. Halfway lift. Inhale. Plant the hands, step it back, plank pose. Lower halfway, exhale. Upward facing dog, inhale. Pressing through the tops of the feet. Press it back, downward facing dog, sigh it out. 5 rounds of breath. Rise high, bend the knees, step or walk, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Weight in the heels, rise up, upward salute. Hands through heart center. Heel toe the feet out so that they're at mats width distance. The toes can point out wide. And then just begin rocking through each leg as we come into our squat pose, Malasana. And this is a great place for a block. If the spine can't stay up straight or you find yourself uncomfortable bending, or if this hurts your knees, you can bring a block underneath your seat or just a blanket that feels better. You can keep your seat. We'll still get a nice stretch in the hips. Find some intuitive movement here. And then you can plant the right hand down, lift the left arm up so that the heart points towards the sky. Open up through that left side. Come back through to center. You can plant the left hand down. Now the right arm reaches up, opening the chest towards the sky. Coming back through to center. And then you can plant the hands down and lift the hips back up for a forward fold. Heel toe the feet back to hips width distance. You can place the palms of the hands underneath the feet and step on them for a nice wrist stretch. And then pull your elbows apart. to really get into this fold. If your hands don't reach the mat, you can also use your blocks and instead just place the backs of your hands on the blocks, and you'll still get that good wrist stretch. And then you can release the hands, heel toe the feet together, bring the toes together to touch, and then sink back into your heels for a chair pose. Reach the arms overhead. Hug the belly in, energize through the palms, through each fingertip. One more round of breath here. Exhale, rise on up, mountain pose, Tadasana. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, upward salute. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, step it back, and flow your vinyasa. Lower halfway. Upward facing dog, squeeze through the glutes. Exhale, downward facing dog. So press through the left foot, reach the right leg up and behind for three-legged dog. You can bend the knee and then stack the hips so that you're opening up towards that right side. The right foot is pointed towards the left as you really open up through the hip. You can take circles with the knee or with the ankle. And then once again, square the hips off. Come forward into plank. Bring the elbow to the upper right tricep. And then you can place that right foot outside the right hand and begin to rock with it a little, straightening through the right leg and bending through that right leg to really open up through the hips. And then arrive in this low lunge. Keep the right hand planted, ground the back heel of the left foot, and then reach the left arm up towards the sky for a side angle pose. If this is a little challenging, you can also come up and bring that right forearm to the right thigh and reach the left arm up overhead this way. And then firmly planted in both feet, rise on up to warrior two. So the right toes point forward, left toes are parallel with the short edge of the mat. And then flip the front palm, coming straight into reverse warrior. Right arm reaches up, left arm is down the back leg, opening up through the chest and the side body. And then straighten the right leg. Right hand guides you as you come forward into triangle pose. So straight to the right leg, the right arm reaches up and then it comes down as the left arm opens and pulls you up towards the sky. Pressing through the right big toe, hugging in through the belly, extending out from your center. And then the left hand can come to frame the right foot. You can walk the back heel in a few feet, and the toes can point out just a bit as you come into pyramid pose. So the hips are squared towards that front foot. Halfway lift, flatten the spine, and then fold over that front leg. Try not to lock out through the knees, and just breathe into any sensations that are coming up right now. Halfway lift, look forward over that right foot, keeping the spine straight now. And then bend a little into the right foot. We're going to come into warrior 3. So bouncing on the right foot, lift that back leg up parallel to the ground behind you. And then the arms can either come behind with the palms face down or stay in heart center. So we balance on this right leg. Hug the belly in. Really shoot back through that back leg. One more breath here. And then you can rise back to standing. The left leg meets the right as we plant both feet with hands at heart center. Exhale. Take a few rounds of breath. And then reach the arms overhead. We'll flow our vinyasa. Forward fold. Exhale. Inhale. Halfway lift. Exhale. Plant the palms. Step it back to plank. Lower halfway or all the way. Upward facing dog. Heart shines through. Downward facing dog. Sigh it out. Pedal it out through the feet. Maybe you rock the hips. And then lift the left leg high, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, open that hip. And then you can again make some circles, find room wherever it feels prickly in the joint. Spend a little extra time there and send some nice breath. Give it some time to open. And just point the knee as high as it will go. And then you can square off the hips once again. Bring the left knee to the upper left tricep. Tap it there. Hugging the core in. And then you can plant that left foot outside the left hand. Rock with it, coming forward and back, straightening through that left leg, and then rebending. Keeping the glutes engaged to maintain the integrity of the hip joints. And then come back to that low lunge. Keep the left hand firmly planted on the mat. Ground the back right heel towards the side and then open up that right arm towards the sky, coming into side angle. Again, if this is too much for the hip or the leg, always come up so that the left forearm is on the thigh and you can look underneath that right tricep. Also a great place for a block. And then with both feet firmly pressing down, the pressing down of the feet lifts you up all the way to warrior 2. Can readjust your stance a bit and bend deeply into that left knee. Shoulders are relaxed on your back, and the gaze can be over that front middle finger. And then we'll reverse this warrior, flip the front palm, reach up and back with the left hand. Straighten the front leg, and the left hand guides you forward as the torso comes over as far as you can over that left leg before the left hand guides down. Can come to the mat, the ankle, or higher. Can always put a block. And then the right arm points towards the sky as you lift up. Use that core engagement to really lift you through your center. Take up space here. Gaze can be at the top hand or the front foot. And then the right hand can come down. You can heel toe the foot more towards center And bring that back heel in, toes at about a 45-degree angle, squaring off the hips, coming into pyramid, and you can halfway lift, flatten the spine as you come to fingertips, and then fold over that front leg. Keeping a nice little micro bend in the knees to prevent any locking out of the joints. And really hugging in through the core to really bring you deeper into your fold. Finding strength while we lengthen. Coming back onto fingertips, look forward, keep a flat back, and then bend a little bit more into that front leg as we begin to launch off into Warrior 3. So bringing weight into the left foot, let's lift this back leg, square the hips as we balance on the left leg. Right leg comes straight behind as you lift with that right glute to keep the right leg elevated. Hug the belly in. Find a point that's not moving and keep your gaze, your drishti right on that point. And then you can tip upwards, the right foot meets the left into Dasana, mountain pose. Side out. And then let's clear this with a vinyasa. Upward salute, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. Clear it out, Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Set the knees down. Walk the hands in front of you about 2 feet so that they're a good distance. And then sink the arms and the chest down towards the mat for puppy pose as the sit bones point high towards the sky. Maybe the chin comes to the mat. It's okay if it doesn't. If this is too much for the shoulders, you can always walk the hands in a bit, or you can walk them wider on the mat. And then walking yourself back will come straight back onto the heels to sit and give the shoulders a bit of a rest. You can close the eyes down. And then making our way back into downward facing dog. Send the right leg up and back, three-legged dog. Then send the right knee to the left elbow, tap it there, squeeze everything in, and then back to three-legged dog. Right knee taps right elbow, squeeze it in, hug it there, back through center. And then the right knee comes to tap the nose through the center, hug it in, right leg back out behind. And then once again, the right knee will tap the right elbow, but you can plant the foot outside the right hand. Rocking with it a little. And then walk the foot out so that it's at the very edge of the mat. So you have this kind of wide lunge. And then you can drop the back knee coming into lizard lunge. This might be enough for you in the hips. You can look up, come onto fingertips, maybe rock side to side. Or if you want a little bit of a deeper stretch, you can come down onto forearms and even lift the back knee and walk it back a little bit. Maybe you press a little into this right knee, opening through the right shoulder, but don't push it here. We want to be gentle with our bodies, finding the opening through the breath, through time. And then maybe walking up onto hands, you can bring this left heel to the left glute and then reach back for the foot with the left hand to get a quad opening. You can't reach for the foot. This is still great to use your glute and hamstring strength and bring that foot in closer. And just gently guiding the foot closer in. Keep the hips square to the front of the mat though. And then you can release that foot, lift the back knee once again, bring it back in. Straighten through the right leg, lift the toes up for half splits pose. You can bow over the front leg, finding your depth. You might be here, walk the hands back, or you might walk the hands forward, or you can even have blocks and keep yourself in your stretch this way. Folding. And then plant the foot once again. Walk it in, lift the back knee up so we're in a low lunge now. The right hand stays planted on the mat. Left heel grounds. Once again, coming into our side angle. Lift the left arm towards the sky. Again, you can bring the right forearm to the right thigh. And I'll offer you a bind for this practice. So bringing the left hand around your back, maybe it comes to the top of that right thigh. If this feels good, maybe the right arm wraps around and the left arm grabs for the right wrist or for the right fingertips. In both cases, keep the torso off of the right thigh and really use the strength of the legs to open the chest towards the sky. One more round of breath here. And then you can release the bind and come on up to warrior two. Bend into that right knee. Hug through the belly. Keep the shoulders over those hips. And then we'll transition to a warrior one. So reach this left arm up and around. Square the hips to the front of the mat and ground the back heel so that the left toes point outwards at 45 degrees and we face the top of the mat. Interlace the hands behind your back, squeeze the shoulder blades, lift the chest up, and then come forward into humble warrior so the torso comes to the inside of the right knee and the right leg as you gently bow in this pose of surrender. Come back up to your warrior one breath here. And then opening back up into warrior two. Straighten through the front leg, parallel the feet so that we're in this wide-legged stance. And then we'll begin to bend into this left leg, coming into Skandasana Pose or half squat. You can sink the hips over to the left and point the right toes up towards the sky as we extend the arms long. Right arm towards the sky, left arm out. If this doesn't work, you can stay up on fingertips, or you can keep the heel lifted of this left leg. And then we'll bend into the right knee, coming into Skandasana on the right. Left toes lift. And then we'll keep bending through one knee and the other. Again, you can use your fingers to help you here, or if you feel gentle and agile in the knees, you can practice moving from one side to the other without your hands. And then we'll all meet on the bending in Skandasana on the right side. We'll turn around to frame this right foot and step it back into plank for your Vinyasa. So lowering halfway, upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. One breath in, release. Lift the left leg high. Bring the left knee to the left tricep, tap it and squeeze it in. Left leg long, and then left knee to right tricep, tap it. Left leg long, and then once again, left knee to left tricep, plant the foot outside of the hand, and then drop the back knee coming into lizard lunge. So bring the hips forward, bring the chest up towards the sky, look up. Maybe you come down onto the forearms, maybe you stay here, or you can bring blocks. If you want a little bit more, you can always walk that back knee back a little bit to get a deeper stretch in that right psoas. And then coming up onto fingers, we'll bend that back knee so that the foot is coming in towards that right glute, reaching back with the right arm to grab the inside of the foot as we bring the foot and guide it closer towards us. And then you can release the back foot, plant the knee down once again, and straighten through that front leg, coming into half splits pose on the left. So straightening through that left leg, we can stay high onto the fingertips if you're really feeling it in the hamstring. Otherwise, gently fold over that leg. Toes point towards the sky for a deeper stretch. Keep a nice, strong flexion, and you'll feel it more in that left hamstring. Finding refuge in the breath. And then bending once again, planting that left foot, coming into a low lunge as we lift the back knee. Plant that back heel, so that the foot is pointing towards the short edge of the mat, and reach up with the right arm, peeling ourselves open once again for side angle. You can take that bind, so reaching the right arm around the back, and you can snuggle the fingers into the hip crease of the left leg for a half bind, peeling the shoulder open, looking up. Or if you want the full bind, you can take these left fingers underneath the thigh and grab for the right wrist, opening the chest up towards the sky. Hug the belly in, pressing through the feet to keep our torso from gently just resting here and staying active. And then pressing through both feet, we'll come on up for our warrior two, bending generously in the left knee, making sure that it's not caving in, so keeping it tracking out towards the left side of our mat. One breath. And then flipping the front palm, reverse your warrior. Coming back to warrior two. Keep the right arm will circle us so that we square the hips coming into our warrior one on the left side. So the back right heel is planted as the right toes face outward, and we reach the arms overhead for warrior one. Interlace the hands behind the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together as you lift the heart up towards the sky. And then the chest comes forward as we surrender our torso to the inside of this left leg for humble warrior. It's also an option to let the torso rest on the left leg if that's too much for the left hip and groin area to really come to the inside. But the top of the head is moving towards the mat. And then we'll come back on up, reach the arms overhead for a breath, and then straighten through that front leg, parallel the feet to the long edge of our mats. And then we'll once again bring the arms out to a T. Keep a slight bend in the knees as you come forward for a wide-legged fold. You can grab for the outer edges of both feet and allow the elbows to splay out wide. Or you can walk the hands back between the legs. If tripod headstand is in your practice, this is a great place to take it. Otherwise, you can just enjoy the fold. And then we'll come up onto fingertips flat back, and then walk the hands over to the left to frame that front foot. Step it back to a plank and flow your vinyasa. Lowering halfway, upward facing dog or baby cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Set the knees down, sit back on your heels, and then make your way to a wide-legged seat. So the toes point upward. You want it to be so that you can comfortably sit here, but you're also feeling a little bit of a stretch. Your breath is very much stable. And then we'll bend this right knee so that the right inner foot comes to the inner edge of the left thigh. And then guide your torso to face that bent right leg as the left hand grabs the outer knee, kind of coming into a twist, but then we'll reach up and over with the right arm for coming into a revolved twist so that the torso is pointing towards the sky as the right hand reaches for that left foot. So we have both a twist and a side body stretch. Of course, if your hand doesn't reach the foot, this is still a great stretch to just be reaching this direction, feeling it all the way up that right side body in the low back as well. Looking underneath that right tricep. And then coming back up through the center. And now we'll face this left leg, and we'll come into traditional Januszasana. So you can bring the right foot to the inner thigh of the left leg, and now we'll just fold gently over this left leg for a more hamstring focused stretch. And then you can rise back on up. And now what we'll do is we'll plant this right hand down on the outside of our right leg. And we'll come up using our left leg onto the knee of our right leg and really bring the hips forward as we reach the left arm up and back, coming into a modified gate pose. Really feeling the back bend here, opening through the chest and opening through the hips. You can make little circles with the left arm, or you can make nice big circles. Feeling this opening. Reaching back, lifting up, using the glutes. And then we'll send our seat all the way back down. Extend the right leg out once again, and we'll take that on the opposite side. So the left inner foot comes to the right inner thigh. We'll guide the torso so that we're facing this left knee, and then the right hand will grab for the outside of the left knee as we reach up and over with the left hand, reaching towards that right foot for revolved twist. And then we'll come back on up, and then we'll just swivel the torso and readjust the hips so that we're coming into more traditional Januszasana, facing this right leg, and then we'll just fold over the leg. Coming on up, plant the left hand down, come up onto that left knee as you plant the right foot down and reach up and back with the right hand. Hips come towards the sky, the right hand reaches back. Really feel the back bend here, the opening through the chest, the expansiveness. You can take big circles with that right hand. And then we'll sit the hips back down. Bring the knees together, and you can sit on your heels. We'll take one final back bend before we wind down our practice, and I'll offer you camel pose. So come up onto the knees and keep the hips over the knees, Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. And then you can either have the toes tucked if you know you have less range of motion in your spine. Otherwise, you can keep the feet flat. And then we'll bring the hands to the low back, squeeze the elbows together, squeeze the shoulder blades, hug in through the belly, and just begin to look towards the sky as you lean back. Really hugging through the upper spine is really where the back bend is. And then maybe you drop one arm, maybe you drop the other and reach for the heels, squeezing through the shoulder blades, hugging in through the belly, squeezing at the glutes. And then keeping your core engaged, your glutes engaged, those muscles bring you back up. And then you can sit the hips back onto the heels. Bring the chin into the chest and slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, bring your head down towards your knees and head towards the mat, coming into rock pose so the arms can gently rest by your sides and the hips can sway side to side like just a little ball of little rock. And then you can sit the hips off to one side, bring the feet out in front of you, and just gently lower yourself down, vertebrae by vertebrae, down all the way to the mat. As you lay down on your back, bring the knees into the chest and really just hug them in and rock and roll side to side. Maybe give yourself a few circles. And then extend the left leg long and guide that right knee over to the left for a gentle twist. If the left knee doesn't meet the ground, you can bring a block under the knee or a blanket, or you can bring both knees together, bring the arms out to a T, and bring both knees over to the left. And then look over that right shoulder, keeping it firmly planted on the mat. And then coming back through to center, extend the right leg long, and then gently guide the left knee over to the right. All of the other options still available, finding what is most comfortable for you, and keeping that left shoulder planted. Gaze can be over that left arm. And then bringing both knees back through center. Give them a nice tight squeeze here. Hug them in. And then extend out long for our final resting posture, Shavasana. You can bring a pillow underneath the head or a blanket to cover the eyes, finding your stillness, allowing the body to integrate this practice. Bringing some gentle movement into the hands and the feet. Coming back to the body, but knowing that your core, your center, the stillness and peace is the background of what you always truly are, and no noise or experience ever taints that. It simply reminds us of our true nature, of what is listening, of what is always ever present. So you can roll off to one side in a fetal position and just press yourself back up to a seat. I invite you to extend your Shavasana for as long as you wish. These practices are so beneficial for the body and the mind and the whole being to just unwind and come into your true nature of peace. But otherwise, we'll bring our hands to heart center for our closing. May there be peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, and peace in your heart. Namaste, yogis.